Okay, hello. My name is Aaron Marshall of Stephen F. Austin State University. This is the second observation. I am at Desavala Elementary School with Ms. Gordon, and I'm going to be going over two things. One is going to be going over the TARP. Now, the TARP is called Texas Academic Performance Report. And so with the Texas Academic Performance Report is we're looking at where we can implement how we can figure out how to find out the strengths and weaknesses in each particular core subject in order to make sure that our kids are successful. So the first thing I'm going to do is go with Ms. Gordon and discuss the scores from a particular campus that I was previously at. So the campus where I was previously at was Spring ISD. And so the Spring ISD, Bamwell Elementary, and we're gonna start. So the first thing we're gonna look at is the campus. And once we look at the campus, we're gonna be looking at the levels, the performance levels. Now, for what do you think we'll be looking at since we are starting out? What's the first thing we gotta look at?
Well, I would prefer to look at the approach level for each grade level because that's the one that the percentage of who passed, and we can. You want to know like the subject area?
We're going to start at fourth grade reading.
Okay.
And so with fourth grade reading, I figured that would be the transition from pretty much the hardest part of the subject in regards to STAR, and we're going to move into fourth and fifth grade. So, yes.
Okay. So according to this report, in 2018, the campus level was at 53% of approach level. So that's how many passed. But they actually went. They had an increase. They went from 39 to 53%. So from 2017 to 2018.
Okay, I definitely see that as well. Also, when I looked at the TARP, we also look at the internal and external factors dealing with at-risk, that these type of labels that will help us think about implementing the type of lessons that we need to incorporate too, and also looking at the types of teachers that we also have too. So I'm thinking with the increase, I'm thinking that they pretty much improved on the curriculum. Mm-hmm. Number one, I think when we're going over questioning, when we're dealing with reading, I think that's another important subject to address, because I figure you would have to teach a kid to organize their thoughts and organize their writing in regards to making sure that they practice this on the STAR as well.
And also, you know what I think about when, like, third grade is the first year that the kids take the STAR test. And so usually that third grade year is it's a little rough, but when they go to the fourth grade, they've already had experience with the test, and then you can work on their guided reading levels because to enhance their comprehension for fourth grade.
Now, when we go over the guided reading now, should that be a weekly thing?
Yes, especially if they're below grade level.
Okay. And so we're usually giving them the DRAs, right? Yes. Or if not the DRAs, we're giving them like those books that incorporate to their level, right?
Right. So the teachers still have to teach on grade level, of course, third grade and fourth grade. But then when they do small group, that's when they will get on the students' level to do instruction with them.
And now when we go over and this is weekly when we're measuring their growth, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I know that approaches is where we're basically getting to the barely passing. Do we want to say barely passing or just reaching there?
Well, and that's how I think about it. Like approaches is that, like for reading, the passing percentage rate is, I believe, 56%. Mm-hmm. And so approaches meaning that you're just right there on like that question away. But when you get to meets, I remember when I was in the classroom, I always tell the students that meets was like you're ready for sixth grade. Like you've exceeded that expectation of what you're supposed to learn. And if master, like you're definitely just ready to go. Mm-hmm. So I know now in the school districts, like we're focusing more on the meets to master and not so much approach. Like, yeah, we want you to pass, but we really want you to get meets, and we're trying to get our meets to masters.
Okay.
So here, when I noticed that their meets level is actually lower than their approaches, that means you have many students who really just passed the test.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
They just passed it. They did enough just to get by, and they did not reach the meets level.
Okay. So this is where I would like to talk about like the questioning, because I figure the way I teach, the better the question, the better the child can figure out what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I do that, I try to implement something they can relate to, that they see. If it's not on TV, or if they see it on the street, or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
I just like to give them the opportunity to, okay, figure this out on your own,
Mm-hmm.
but yet my questions will help you get there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I see where it's lowered, in my opinion. I think it's lowered depending on, especially when we look at meets, it went from 32 to 27. So when we look at that, it's not that far of a drop, but it's a drop. And I'm thinking, okay, a couple of things might be in mind. Engagement might be in mind, sense of motivation, sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are they what are they doing in the classroom? And that's my main, that will be my main ideas of what's actually going on.
Right.
And when you go through walkthroughs,
Mm-hmm.
and you see a drop like this, what comes to mind when you're thinking about this?
One thing that I'm looking for sure is, when I'm going in and out of the classrooms, is like, what does effective teaching looks like?
Right.
And so it's one of those things that, especially for reading, when I was planning doing, when I was the curriculum instructional specialist, we would plan based on our data. We would definitely look at our data reports, and then we would gear our lessons towards what did the data show us. So say, for instance, if we needed assistance on the TEAC 4.2, that means if there was a class need, then
Mm-hmm.
we're going to review it as a class, and I make sure that I'm pulling those STAR STEM questions, that the kids are seeing them over and over and over again, just geared towards whatever story we're reading. So if we were using even a StoryWorks magazine, I would go and read it, previously, and then have questions set up for the students to, and those are the STAR STEM questions, just with a different type of text.
Okay. So then my next question that I'm dealing with, how do you feel when you ask a kid a question and they just give you like a blank stare, or they'll say, well, I don't know? How do you feel about that?
Well, as teachers, we definitely have to dig deeper and figure out how can we reach that student. Because I know when I was in classroom, it's like, I don't know is never an answer.
Right.
Like, we're going to find out. Like, we'll find out what the answer is. So I think it's just digging deep, knowing that student, because everything goes back to building relationships in the first place.
Right.
You build relationships with your students become more comfortable with you, and they'll be willing to reach out for help if they need it. So I think it starts from there.
Then, so basically, when we go over the TARP, we're going over the fact that we're looking for improvement and decline, and we're also looking at the fact that this is beneficial for making sure that our students are reaching their best potential, and then we're doing that by familiarizing with what's going on with the state's percentages, with the campus percentages, and then with the district's percentages. And so this will end part one of my observation.